and very good morning and welcome back, everybody. Before I proceed, anybody has any lingering questions from our topic before? I just want to make sure that everybody's able and ready. Apologies. Silent call. Right. Okay. So let's move forward. Right. Apologies for the disruptions. So we talked a bit about value provision and customer segment. So because we want to talk about the entrepreneurship management skills post COVID-19, because those are your usual key indicators of how your business can grow or can sustain itself within the pandemic, i.e. The value that you're currently delivering or pre-pandemic and during the pandemic is the same as it was before, and it is still widely or 100% accepted by the customers, right? So I'll give you a case. For example, if your value proposition has not changed pre-pandemic, during the pandemic and post-pandemic, or in intra-endemic, whichever stage it is, if it has not changed, then you need to double check with your customers. I mean, do they still accept those prices? One of the big concerns among businesses and banks is not because, oh, okay, customers can't go out to shop anymore. No, they're one of the biggest concerns of them is that loss of income from the customers. Hence, customers does not have any buying power. So whether the value matches their value, which is good, if they're not widely accepted by the customer, which is because they can't be accepted unless you're giving it for free, then that doesn't. Then that's also a big problem for your business, right? So that's one of the things you need to check. Why you need to check up on your customers from time to time. Right, make sure that it matches. But of course, throughout this journey, 1 year, 8 months plus, so we now know that usually our customers, that's not the case with our current customers. So if that was the case for our customers, they'll be long gone before now. So that's one thing of assurance. But of course, need to check them on everything else. For example, hey, I can't do that because I mean the schools are closed. I have to take care of my child. So yeah, that's another big issue on customer profile. So again, know everything about your customers so that you can actually deliver your promised value to your customers. Right? Let's move on. Right? So this is what we taught you about what value proposition, customer segments. Now, there's one more thing that I want to add on for the topic about COVID. So, in everything that I've experienced, because thankfully I've been with entrepreneurs, I guess before the pandemic, and at the start, at the peak, and in between PKPs, and till now. I find it usually is yes, there's a customer segment value proposition, but the key point of pain and the source of the pain is usually the channels. So I've highlighted that it's highlighted in your BMC. So again, it's more about how you deliver the value. So it's not a matter of whether the value change it's lower quality or high cost. Yeah, sometimes high cost is a big issue, but the quality is about the same, and the customers are the same customers, 24-year-old men and women, single, the same customer profile. So again, they have not changed. It's not like they suddenly grown out of your brand or your product. They have not changed. But sometimes I find it is the channels, i.e. there's the biggest point of concern there, because how the value is being received by the customers is totally different pre-pandemic, during the pandemic. It's totally different. Last time, of course, when you're eating outside right now, I mean, this is a mask policy, yes, which is very good to curb the spread. But of course, if you're sitting down waiting for food, and if it is very strict, you have to mask up. Better yet or worse yet, it's more about you can't dine in anymore. So you have a 5-star restaurant that you have to enjoy at home. So again, the food, the chef prepared food is still 5-star, and the taste is still 5-star. The ingredients are still 5-star. But when you bring it in your bag or and when it arrives at home, it's suddenly, it's just not as appetizing as it is promoted to be, right? So again, It's more about the channels with how the value is being delivered to the customer. So again, if you missed out my lecture circuit yesterday, the value needs to travel from your company to the customers via your designated channels. So it can be yourself, it can be a third party. Usually, if you're selling a product, is via postal services, right? I mean, unless your shop is open for business and customers can come in and get your product, right? So yes, that's it. Via Grab, food dependent, so on and so forth, right? So the channels is there. So now, in order to just understand this, three things. So there's a theme. Go back to the fundamentals, go back to basic, and this is how you manage through the pandemic, right? So usually you have these components. I've talked more about the value proposition, the customer segments. So with the channels is I've because it has not been defined by me yet, is how does your customer receive the set value, right? So yesterday we had a questions within what is being promised to the customer and what we promise. What is actually the value there? The value is actually what is being received by the customers. So again, it's not what we promise. Yeah, you can promise a 5-star per dish, but the customer is cold, is hard, and it's not as appetizing. Yeah, it is that to the customer, right? But no matter how much you promote it, whatever it is to the customer, it is what it is, right? So that is the value. So the channels deal heavily on how does the customer receive and the medium that they receive it on. Yes, channels are a lot of people say the ultimate channels are all everything on how we interact and how we get information out. Yes, but I'm focusing on the fundamentals for you first, right? So with that, we can move forward with this. So because here's the strategy, you have all of these three parameters, so you strategize within these three parameters, right? So then now that we've understand that those three parameters, how to strategize, is actually a pandemic or endemic business health check. So go ahead. This is kind of like if you're an entrepreneur, this is, I guess, your yearly follow-up medical and dental appointment if you have some. So just to, it doesn't hurt and it is free right now. So these parameters are essential to any business, and businesses who have not answered these are at high risk of failing. So this is kind of like, hey, check ourselves, making sure everything's okay, go to the doctor, see, even though we know and we think that we're fine, but it's just best to get a second or an expert opinion, right? To do a thorough review instead of just, just being happy by ourselves. If we are, just think that we're happy, we're healthy, and there's nothing wrong with our business, we don't check for it. And that's the same thing with healthcare as well as any businesses, and then as any business health check, we are much more worried about those things that we don't know whether if we don't know whether they're good or bad. Whether it exists or not, one thing, and whether it's good or bad is one thing. So again, similar how I guess some of you maybe a bit older than me might be a bit offended by that. So think about it this way. You know how you always tell your parents, or some of you younger, your grandparents, hey, why don't we check it to the hospital to make sure? It's the same thing. I'm sure everything's fine, but it's just to just get a bit of a check-in, right? So when you want to do this, these are the questions. So again, it's almost the same thing, but I ask a question. So everything is changed in the question form. So with a value proposition, it's like, what has changed in your value towards your customers? So again, in pre-pandemic and pandemic, you can roughly test it out. Anybody who wants to volunteer, especially those who are entrepreneurs, regarding your products and services? Yeah, honestly, I can promise you, if you haven't noticed it yet, there are a lot of changes pre-pandemic and during the pandemic to your customers. The value to your customers. I'm not talking about operations working from home. I'm talking about your value to your customers. And how did they and how did you operate differently? Of course, those are the things that you need to think about in terms of operations. There's a big chunk of it that we haven't discussed with value proposition, your capacity. So what about your capacity? What has changed? Manpower, facilities, operating hours, operating time, manufacturing capabilities. So you can tell me about that as well, right? So value proposition, but of course, I want to reaffirm the biggest thing is that what has changed in your value towards your customers. Is it diluted? Is it cheaper? Is it much more expensive? Is it much harder for you to interact with your customers? Again, I want to learn everything about it, right? So in your customer segments, how have your customers changed? Are there new groups? Are there new groups of customers that you previously weren't aware of pre-pandemic? What is different about how they interact with you right now? Last time, probably they go to your shop, your facilities. Right now, how do they interact with you, right? So tell me everything about your customer segments. I mean, they are the where you're relying your business on. Definitely, you should know everything about that and notice any change in habits, any change in trends, any change in preferences, right? And last but not least is actually the definition, but in a question form. As you know, the channel, I define it at this stage in your business life would be, how does your customer receive the value? Now, instead of that definition, I ask a question: how does your customer actually receive the value? Who else is interacting with you and your customers? Because most of the time, if you're not a frontliner, if you're not one of those industries that's that gets limited access to the customers, especially during PKP, i.e. restaurants and everything, so you have to deal with delivery personnel and outsource contracts, right? So those people who are doing those jobs, so are they good or not? I mean, we heard a lot. I mean, Malaysians, we like to talk, we like to discuss about viral things, about how a delivery person just threw a package over the fence. So again, it's more about that the ones who are at fault here is a separate entity, but the ones who has the bad name is totally different. The innocent that was blamed for the error, or the innocent that was victimized is somebody else. So again, it's more about who else is interacting with your customers. Well, those are the things that you need to know about your channel, right? Because it's one of your how you deliver that value, right? It's one of the strategies on how you deliver that value. So you need to know about that as well. So now, any volunteers so far? I just want to gauge so that number one is an example, a good example. Number two would be, and if there's anybody that can help out there. So, how's it so far? And any volunteers that can take this test? Just answer one question is good enough. None so far. All right. Okay. If you need if you feel the need to ask me privately, yes, there's a feature in the chat box where you can either message to everybody or message to me privately. So those who want to message me privately, we'll discuss openly, but I won't reveal your company and what you need to discuss about what we're discussing on. Right. So let's move forward. Right. Okay. So check your service. And another thing is that you need to check your service. We are not the only business or competition in town. So sometimes I know customer service is usually defined as this. Apologies, I'm using the same stereotypical picture. But again, service is something else. As we learned yesterday. And when we talk about service, it's more about whether the needs and wants of the customers are fully addressed. All right. So yesterday I talked about the different levels of service in any business, right? And different levels of experience in any business. All right. So I gave one one speaker that I fully admire and where you can get the resources from, but this is essentially it. So a negative one would be criminal, and then we'll go on basic, expected, desired, surprising, unbelievable. So I've done that yesterday. You wanna if you really want to get a full explanation about how to utilize that strategy, definitely you can refer to yesterday's talk. Maybe it will be put online later, but for now it's more a bit about practical. I'll give you one case study, for example, right, so that you understand on whether you need to check your service or not. Right? Oops, sorry. Apologies. Now, so let's just take an example of TM, Telecom Malaysia. With Telecom Malaysia, we have all of this service levels. All right. So I'm not saying that this is criminal and this is basic expected, but that is the level that is expected, where this would be, right? So, for example, like if for 199 or for 99 ringgit, if Telecom Malaysia, they give you a landline with a data cap and speed cap, because you probably don't know this, there was one competitor within that was competing with TM before Maxis and others joined in, and so that competitor had a data cap. So again, if that data cap is implemented with TM right now, definitely it will be a criminal level of customer service. Again, not asking you to go to court, it's more like, oh, this is criminal. What I mean, I wouldn't do this to my enemies and you're doing this to your customers. So yeah, criminal level of customer service. So it's best to just avoid or just bash these companies online. Now, of course, don't do it, but just best to avoid this level of service in any business. All right. Okay. And then basic, right? Basic, usually, I think right now with TM right now, whatever they're offering, I'm not talking about hypothetical anymore, it's more practical. The basic thing about TM is that price is basic. It's not cheap, it's not much more competitive, it's basic. I promise you, if you even Google or compare between other service providers, it's probably about the same. I mean, no offense to everybody in the industry, right? But the price is basic. So again, people are quite okay with that. If it's cheaper, yes, definitely that might move the needle for me to change. But it's more about it's more about the value first. Okay, expected speed. So expected, whatever that you pay for, whatever price points that you have, 20 to 200 Mbps is quite expected. So if let's say I guess not even 20, 15 or even 10 years ago, I think 10 years ago it would be, wow, even 10 years ago, I think the biggest copper network would have somewhere around 2 to 4 Mbps, and right now 2 to 4 Mbps is nothing to brag about, right? So yeah, expected would be 20 to 20 Mbps, 20 just because I know the rural areas, and of course 20 Mbps is usually what they get if they get a 300 or 500 Mbps plan, right? So yeah, 20 to 200 Mbps is expected. Again, nobody is again, this is true for me, especially as a customer. I'm a TM customer. Even if you pay for 100 Mbps plan, you won't get 500 Mbps. You get it at odd times, but on a stable connection, you probably get around 200 Mbps. And that is if you're right in front of the router with the 5G 5G modem on, and you are connected to that 5G connection, which is only 5-6 feet. And after you go to the dining room, and suddenly it's gone, right? So yeah, that is the expected speed. So desired and reliability. Desired is reliability. So maksudnya, what I desire from the service with TM as a customer is reliability. I don't want, especially right now, as I'm using it for conference, right? Especially right now, I don't want it to be interrupted. I don't want it to from 200 goes all the way down to 1 Mbps or 0 Mbps for that matter. So I really want it to be like that. It's more about it's more about the reliability that I want, I desire from the service, right? Surprising good service. If you call them, they'll tell you, oh, this is an internet down, sorry for holding. Yes, you can use our app, you can use our chat box. They're very good at what they do in terms of service. That's why, again, it's much more costlier for them to have a customer service call center. It's much more costly. Everybody in any service industry, telco, banking, food products, knows for a fact that even airlines knows for a fact that if you have a customer call center, definitely it's going to be very costly, right? But they still have that. They still and of course you expect some waiting times and there's other chat features, emails even for you to utilize. And last, so that's the surprising service that they still give, because again, with their customers, if everybody calls them, they can easily incur high costs for customer service. Okay, But and the one thing that I still see them as unbelievable as a customer is whenever you complain, whether it's a connection outside your house or inside your house, if there's anything wrong, if it still persists, when you first complain, it will be usually solved in 48 hours. If it still persists, there's a 24-hour deadline. So petang tu, or sometimes malam, or pagi esok, there would be a technician and a personnel appointed by TM to solve the problem. Irregardless whether it's a small or big problem, they'll come by. And they'll literally say at one point say, oh, Imran, I think your modem is 4 years. This should do a replacement. We can add on to the contract extension, or just pay one off. I'll pay one off because I don't want to be bonded. But yeah, they settled it right there, and then they even had to go back to an office to get a modem. But yeah, they settled it right there, and then after diagnosing the problem. So again, unbelievable service whereby basically if my internet goes down, I'll get it back up guaranteed within 24 hours. Usually somewhere between 5 to 6 hours on the same day or 12 hours on the next day. So yeah, still. So that is the level of service that we want. Now let's go back to this one. So if you can just quietly plot your level of service that you're giving your customers, right? Some of the customers that I have in the charity business, the criminal one is that I don't send to everyone, because Sabah Sarawak as well as Singapore, which we have a lot, that we don't deliver to them. We say that you really want them, but it's just that our products are a bit heavy and we don't want to pass on the cost. And last time we did pass on the cost of delivery to our customers were not happy, because that's how we make sure that we have profit margin. Right, and basic, expected, desired, surprises. But so basic would be whatever that we sell, whatever we promote online. You get the basic price for the cheaper options. So those RM8, RM12 stuff. But for the 25, 30, 50 ringgit, that is what is expected and desired. And whatever is surprising, so that is for us, for our customers, is that we have their emails, we have their phone numbers. Sometimes we just blast out, hey, there's a pre-Christmas sale, pre-Merdeka sale. We're offering this out for dirt cheap. Especially to our loyal customers. So go ahead and book those slots now. So we give them a link to a special hidden website that is under our website, a special column lah, and basically they get first dibs. And usually it gets sold out within the first 2 or 3 days, and we don't even carry on with the sale because our customers already bought all our stock. So again, that's surprising. And last but not least, unbelievable when we sell it at below cost price. Those are like the rejects and those things that did not that it's not pretty, it's not cosmetic, aesthetically pleasing, but it has very good very good value proposition. So we just say, oh, it's a reject, manufacturing error, but yeah, we'll sell it for you. It's probably cost us somewhere around raw materials about $30, so let's sell it at $20. So yeah, we'll just, and some customers do take out on that offer. So of course it's cheaper than what it's worth, so that's why they buy it. For us is, instead of throwing things away, just sell it for a profit, right? Not for a profit, just sell it at a loss, or sell it for money. 30 ringgit, product that's in the dustbin is very disheartening compared to just 20 ringgit or 10 ringgit loss, but a customer uses that product. This is for me, that's much more appealing. 10 ringgit loss versus 30 ringgit loss. One is in the dustbin, one is being utilized by the customers. So again, so I think that's what happens. Last time, I just want to share a bit of the Carnival Kesusanan that happened in 2019. Late that year, it's a funny thing because I think because government changes and everything. So Institute Kesusanan Malaysia, they previously had a shirt which had the logo was a bit different. So and then changed to a new logo, arguably the same, but of course certain people would say, oh, there's different ministry badges and different logos, but yeah, so we had to readapt. So when we had those things going on, our admin team decided, hey, we have these shirts and we need to come out with new shirts. So these shirts are 25 ringgit, 30 ringgit, and we give them per program. We make our money back because it's included in the price. But for now, since we have a new logo, why don't we just sell it for $2? So yeah, we had, if you were in the Ministry of Entrepreneurship and Development, MEDC at that time, we did MED at that time. It wasn't had the cooperatives yet. Ministry of Entrepreneurship Development booth in, I think, nearby UPM at that time in 2019 for the Carnival Kesusahan Negara. So it's surprisingly funny how, like, when we offer that value, an unbelievable value, we will, instead of just throwing things out in the landfill, we sold one shirt for RM2, and surprisingly, that was like the biggest main attraction in all of the ministry affiliates. We had a lot of programs. Instead, it was just one small agency, and we had a lot of programs, Protege and so on and so forth. PNS had their own podium, and entrepreneurs had their own booths. But the biggest booth was the biggest pool was at the entrance, where a lot of people were just queuing up to buy RM2 shirts because I'm not kidding, they bought for their families. The average sale per shirt was per person would be somewhere around 6 to 7 shirts. Yes, I don't know why. I thought like, okay, boleh husband and wife is too, right? But most people, they just buy it. Oh, boleh bagi anak, boleh bagi kawan-kawan. So yeah, they had that mentality. So surprisingly, we knew more about our customers. Oh, these people, I know probably they're not entrepreneurs or not. They're just here booth. They're just here to buy something. But when they see that value, they just buy it. Right? So again, those are the things as well that you should benchmark your business at. Because again, check your service, because sometimes we think that we're doing things easily, but sometimes it's very tedious, because again, our customers can easily research. That's the power of the internet, the power of Google, the power of Facebook, the power of any smartphone, because with that power, they can say, hey, another person is selling for cheap, but they don't have the same value, or another person is delivering more value for a cheaper price, might as well switch to that one. Yeah, it's a lot of people can just make their decisions by themselves. The last time during the 1980s, during the 1960s, the customers are reliant on the marketeers and the company to, this is what you need, this is what you need. But now it's different. Now we know what we need. We can look for solutions online by ourselves. And right now, with the rise of e-commerce in Malaysia, we can easily buy those solutions right now, and without any delay and without any any middleman or anybody to see otherwise. So again, it's more about checking the level of service. When we match with the level of service with our customers efficiently, then it will be definitely attract more customers, number one. Number two, just make sure that our business is sustainable and growing throughout its life cycle. Okay, now one thing that I said yesterday as well, it's another key point, but since we have the TM here, is more about how the levels of customer service is an escalator, always moving up. So remember the red line that the red wordings that I gave you in the criminal, i.e. landline, data cap, and speed cap. Those are the things that is criminal today. But remember when I said 10 years ago, 15 years ago, there was a competitor who's doing that. Now it's no more. So yeah, that because it was a huge feature last time. I mean, yes, you have it's fine. 100 gigabytes a month isn't that ridiculous. Now 100 gigabytes a month, like, oh my god, I watch YouTube like this. I have a data cap on my phone, 30, 60, 80 gigabytes. That runs out quickly. If 100 gigabytes on my landline, definitely I cannot survive. And Netflix usually uses up 20 gigabytes a day. So again, it's more about an escalator always moving up. So it's going up and going up. So whatever that you have in unbelievable, usually it takes a long time. It lasts a long time. Especially desired, expected, basic can easily fall down one escalator down, one step down in the next couple of years. I can promise you, the expected speed of 20 to 200 Mbps is maybe below basic or just basic in the next 5 years. I wouldn't be surprised if the basic in 2030 30 would be one, instead, you know, that 2 to 4 Mbps that I joked about would be 2 to 4 Gbps. Yes, I wouldn't be surprised in 2030, especially in Malaysia, right? So it moves down. So when you do this, because again, we don't want to be basic. Our customers like us for a reason. Our customers carry that value, and our customers carry that value with pride sometimes. So we just want to make sure that whenever that our service level, our value proposition matches with our customer service, our service level and within our value and within our customer networks matches with their desired, expected, and basic level, then probably we can move forward. But the main reason why most companies, they don't check this is because they're afraid. Oh, we're testing ourselves, we're benchmarking ourselves. Yes, they're afraid to fail. It's fine. I rather know that we're doing something criminal now, rather than when we lose all credibility with our customers. Mind you, there is little to no repercussions for customer or anybody in the internet to say bad things and lie about you. Honestly, when they have a bad experience, they can say a lot of things, especially they have proof of invoice and receipt. It gives them a lot of credibility, even if it's a lie, right? So they can say anything about you. Your business can lose 200, 300 customers can lose 200,000 ringgit easily, right? But and then what is your action? To sue the customers? No. The number one, customers are free to do so, and even if they did something wrong, lie about something, they can just easily declare bankruptcy. They can not pay you. So again, there's not much you can do. So I rather know that you're doing something criminal now that is easily upsetting customers right now, as opposed to later, right? I've had my crisis management experience in corporate. It's not a good and fun time. It was very insightful, but it's never fun to handle a crisis. Not the crisis I like, things I did, crisis as in like full-blown crisis where it's been discussed in state and agencies level administrative. So those are the crises that we don't look for, right? So, but of course, we want to be prepared. So, for me, prevention is better than the cure. Prevent it. Just make sure that your service level never reaches the criminal. Basic is fine. Basic, probably you lose a few customers to competitors, but definitely some customers are just happy paying affordable or cheap prices. Yeah, it's fine, right? And make sure that your expected desire keeps changing, because your customers keep changing, their wants and needs are keep changing. I promise you, we have right now, I think when my phone, with my phone right now, I think I have somewhere around 80 gigabytes data cap. So which is again, I think the cost, but with 5G and works in 2025, probably 80 gigabytes is not going to be enough for me, definitely, especially if I'm starting to travel around again. So still, I'm just going to highlight those things. So it's probably going to be basic for me whenever that time comes. So keep improving. Come out with a 120 data cap, or no limitless data cap if you're interested to do that. So we look at that in terms of future forward. All right. Now, in order to grow your business and everything, to sustain a business and how to manage your business post COVID-19 is actually to just grow your customers. It's very easy. It's very simple, right? So it's either you grow your existing customers and you start finding new customers. It's fine. For me, I like to look at it as this. So whenever you want to grow your customers, always be aware that you already have existing customers. That's number one, right? The key point I'm trying to tell most businesses is that, hey, remember those customers that supported you throughout the startup period, whenever you scale up, and currently till now, those people who, whatever revenue you've got produced recently, all the way up to maybe throughout your lifetime, 1.2 million ringgit in revenue, or maybe 100,000 ringgit in revenue, 200,000 ringgit in revenue. Remember those people, rely on them. Those people, they have been supporting you for a reason, and they want to support you, and the proof is that they still give you money. That's how they want to support you. They still give you money for your product, services, and the value that you give them. So rely on these people. So again, this is my algorithm. You're free to agree or disagree with me, but this is my algorithm. I find out this how it works. So now, loyal and satisfied customers, loyal customers or satisfied customers who are satisfied with your business. So again, 70 to 90% of your effort should be allocated here, and those should be the bulk of your customer sales. So 70 to 90% of the effort comes with 70 to 90% of the results. So that's why I want to see sales from existing or loyal customers or returning customers, 70 to 90%. Your marketing strategies, whatever that you do, if you're targeting them, it should be reflected in the sales. That's number one, right? So I don't like to give out, oh, this is what you need to do without giving you a benchmark. The benchmark is easy. Whatever, if you don't have a system, you can, a lot of websites, a lot of e-commerce websites, a lot of third-party websites which is paired with a payment gateway have those tracking features. Number one, so it's easily accessible. But if you don't know about it, there's easily you can build a new website where you can have those features as well. That's number one. Number two, you need to you need to tie it up with a strategy that always works or always is fruitful. I don't like to market so much. I like to do sales. I mean, what is the marketing journey to the customer? Whenever it happens, I like to, all right. So they've seen our billboard, they've seen our ads in the newspaper, and then suddenly they call us or they engage with our website, they find out more information on our website, and then they call us or they engage on our social media. That's good. And then I would just, I would see, which is good. What after that? Because you don't have any tracking features after that. I really just look at the sales. Like, oh, so they actually bought it or not. So is the sales coming in? No. Then it's probably not a good strategy. Right, whatever that you do, you're not growing your customer base based on what you're doing is coincidental, right? I don't like it to be coincidental. Coincidental findings or coincidental sales are always the devil's fruit. Okay, apologies if people are offended. It's a British, it's an English term. It looks enticing, but it has no reason. When there's no reason behind it, I don't like it, because hey, it's a huge uncertainty to just rely on, hey, people are buying on a whim, or we don't know what we're doing right or what we're doing wrong, which is very dangerous. Good on you whether you don't know what you're doing right, because usually good things are happening, we don't know what we're doing, right? Good on you, but I don't like the uncertainty. I prefer for you to find out, hey, customer A, B, C, D, E. I just want to ask you, I mean, number one, thank you for being our customers. What made you, I mean, you're not our typical customer profile. Can I ask, why are you suddenly interested? Oh, we have a lot of free time. Suddenly, we see we're working from home. I mean, we want pets now. We want to start our urban farming right now. So because again, ramai usahawan-usahawan terkejut macam, hey, why are customers who are usually rural right now, we have city customer, urban customers, and they're buying like 300, 500 ringgit, and then suddenly kita buy, biasanya bawa lori, yang letak dalam kereta dia orang. So again, those are not our typical customers, and yet they keep coming, because we don't know what we're doing right now. So because of that, there's a change in the customer segment, and suddenly they just enticed with your value, and then they just keep buying at you without reason. So at least explain till that way. So sometimes there's a reason behind the chaos. Trust me, there's always a reason behind the chaos, right? It's whether you look for it or not, right? So with all and existing customers, you just have to make sure that they're satisfied and loyal to your business. It's very easy, right? With interested and soon to be customers, this is how you know. When you want to get new customers, interested or soon to be customers, because they probably expressed interest before or currently are expecting interest right now. You don't want to sell to everybody. You only want to sell to everybody who's interested or who fits the profile. So suddenly, like I mentioned, those are urban new customers going into the agriculture, buying farming products, buying a lot of things. You just, oh, okay, so that's your interest, good. So how can we help you? So just understand their needs. Or they don't have a lot of land space, they want to go, they don't even have land, they have a they have a veranda outside their apartment. So yes, that's what they want to do. So understand them and sell to them. So these people are just waiting for new changes and problems to be solved. You know, it's whether you want to come up with new packaging, new feature, they're just waiting for you. So the good thing about interested and soon to be customers, they're much more the same as your customer segment. We're different. They are totally different in via demographics, but in the interest of your value is the same. That's the thing. The interest of your value is the same. They won't be asking you to come up with a package, with a solution, if they're not already interested in a previous package or solution or a product that you had previously. They just want something new, something unique, or something that fits their criteria in order for you to, in order for them to be your customers. All right. So just focus 10 to 30%, and mind you, benchmark that with 10 to 30% with the sales for new customers. All right. So for me, this is usually the algorithm. 70 to 90% of your effort should be focused on your existing customers. When you want to grow your customers, grow your existing customers first. They like your product, they use your product. Find incentives for them to keep coming back. For me, it's very simple. Let's say you're Milo. Milo is staple in Malaysia, right? Milo is staple in Malaysia. So for Milo, to make sure that Nestle company who sells the Milo brand, or Milo, if you wanna make it much more English, if you want to increase your sales, grow your customers, grow the expenditure. So, why don't you know the packs that we sell for 30 ringgit? Right now, we're selling a 3-pack for 60 ringgit. So go ahead and buy it right now. So suddenly your customers are spending 3 times as more on their expenditure for 1 pack to a 3-pack. So it's very simple. I mean, because you give more value for that particular of time, and you know your customers' habit. They usually buy once a month or something like that. So you know that this one would last for 3 months. So you don't come out with a new offer for the next 3 months, right? It sounds like, hey, Dr. Imran, you're oversimplifying it. I'm telling you, I'm simplifying the process so that you understand the process first, so that at least you understand how simple the process is. Yes, the work is going to take a lot of work, a lot of market research, accounting skills. You need to know whether you're profitable or not after that sale, and of course, a lot of marketing. But still, the process is that instead of finding new customers that we don't know, coming out with a hypothetical situation which our customers have all of the tick boxes checked, why don't we just we'll just go on, rely on our existing customers. Hey, our customers, they buy our products every month. Why don't next month for Merdeka sale, why don't we just take a 2 weeks or 2 weeks period, everybody who we repack everything, come up, go to Tesco, go to Lotus, go to Aeon, go to Maiden, we repack everything, sellotape semua, satu paket jadi 3, satu paket 24, 28, 30 ringgit, kita jual 3 paket 60 ringgit. 59.99. Senang. And then barulah you sell that, and then okay, so our customers usually, their buying habits usually once or twice a month. So at least we don't have to come up with any promotion, because we know that our sales are good, and we can increase our price in the shopping markets, because we know that they're not going to buy another 3 or 4 once, because they already have enough ample stock, right? So there you go. And then with the new customers, the same thing applies. Waiting for new changes and problems to be solved, and then you slowly pull them in. Even if you have to create a different customer segment A, customer segment B, they're still your customers, but different needs, different demographics, different ways of approaching. It's fine as long as you know them. That's the most important thing. Know your new customers is very important. Especially with ever-evolving changes, the demographics. Millennials are working, Gen Zs are working right now. You can't rely on dinosaurs like my dad's generation and my generation. The new generations are going to slowly fill up that buying power, and you need to address their needs. All right, and of course, one thing that I want to highlight in managing your customers and growing your customers is actually changes with old and existing customers. You have to be very laser focused, because changes in value proposition and customer segments actually happens in your loyal and satisfied customers. It happens with them before it happens with new customers. So rely on those changes with your existing customers first before you move on. Oh, our new customers also are facing. So focus on your old customers first, because again, once you solve that with your existing customers, whenever the new customers are on board your platform, your marketing journey, your value proposition, the value that you've already fixed for the customers, existing customers, is the same value that you want to give to the new customers. So instead of approaching things like, there's problems coming from everywhere, just solve one problem at a time. Promise you, this is the most hassle-free way of approaching it. Of course, I'm simplifying it for understanding purposes, but I promise you, give me a few days, a few weeks, I promise you, it's going to be the same. Yes, it's going to take a long time, but it's going to be the same process over again. I've done it with multiple companies, from big to small, and even the smallest nasi lemak lady would say, "Oh, senang lah, doctor." Yes, and just to share, I really like dealing with those people. It's everything's so simple. The sales that they see is, it's not much. It's like additional profit of 10-20 ringgit a day is very meaningful to them. So when we see that from 3 ringgit, 4 ringgit becomes profit becomes 50-70 ringgit, or 20-30 ringgit profit, it makes all the difference. And you can see in the books that they usually have their accounting, their benchmarks in buku sekolah anak diorang kan. So instead of a quarter of a page a day filled up with the sales, we fill up those with 1 page or half 1 page or 2 pages. So that, oh my God, we can see all our marketing efforts, all of our hard work, instantly in buku sekolah anak diorang. So again, the same thing with you guys. Probably I'm going to see a lot of Excel spreadsheets and a lot of reports on your social media marketing, your advertising. Yes, but the same thing applies. We'll see the growth in our strategies as well as the growth in our sales. So I'm oversimplifying it a bit, but the same processes apply, right? Now, apologies, I took too long with the last slide. I just want to make sure that we are all, getting the benefits of the lecture, and I gave you a few steps. Of course, oversimplifying it, but that's the reason why we have a Q&A session. So I would definitely appreciate any questions, especially detailed questions about my slides and the knowledge that I was sharing just now from you guys. So how is it so far? Any questions?
Questions, anyone? Well, if there are none at the moment, I think we can go for a second break. But do know that Dr. Imran accepts questions anytime. You can always place them on the chat in the chat box. So, Dr. Imran, shall we break for about 10 minutes now?
Sure. Yes. Go ahead and let's get everybody relaxed for a new break. Okay.
Yes. All right. So see you in 10 minutes, everyone. Thank you.